You know, if Paul was in a journalism class, just based on this fourth chapter of Ephesians, I wonder what kind of grade he would get, because this is really some good stuff. I really like the opening sentence, and I like the summation at the end. He says, under his direction, and he's talking about Jesus, the whole body is fitted together perfectly. As each part does its own special work, it helps the other parts grow so that the whole body is healthy and growing and full of love. Beautifully written. But I want to talk about something else first. Never again in my life, as long as I live in Cobb County and in Marietta, will I be caught near Kennesaw State University at 3:30 in the afternoon. Can you believe how huge that university has become during the last 10, 15 years? That is a monstrosity of a school. Ginger and I were minding our own business the other day, going the same route we go down from the mall, down Frey Road to the back way to where we live over here. We weren't bothering anybody. And all of a sudden it looked like, I don't know, after a Braves baseball game or something, the traffic was everywhere. The cars were backed up in every direction. And there we were stuck right beside the university. I don't know what happened, if class got out at that particular time or whatever, but there we sat. It usually takes us about 3 or 4 minutes to get down that hill, up the hill, and then to the stoplight, and then to the road back to where we live. We sat there, Craig, for 30 minutes with nothing to do. So, what we did is we just watched the students. They were excited. Their faces were beaming. They were talking to one another. They were looking at their phones. They were walking with a high step. They looked like they were excited about going to school. And there was this one young man, and back in our day, we would have called him a coolie, because he looked really, really well dressed and put together. He had one of those $35 haircuts, and I can tell the difference. I can tell if you go to Great Clips or not. You do. I hope you tipped him for that haircut. But anyway, he had a really nice blended haircut. He had on some really nice sunglasses that he probably paid $200 or $300 for. He had on a dark blue Izod golf shirt, khaki shorts, and penny loafers with no socks. He looked good. But anyway, I was thinking, what are these kids thinking about? What are their hopes for the future? What do they hope to accomplish during this coming school year? And what are their plans after they graduate? What do they want to be? What do they want to do? How do they want to make a difference in the world? And I thought, how neat. This is the time of the year when all of our children go back to school. And I was thinking about that young man walking down the sidewalk. And I'm wondering if his parents gave him advice just before he went off to college, what do you think they told him? What did you tell your children when they went off to college or off to high school or whatever, the first day of school? What are some things we would tell our kids?
Study hard.
Study hard, absolutely. What else? Dress nicely. Don't look like you just got up. What else?
Get good grades.
Get good grades. How do you get good grades, Joe? You study, and what else? You go to class, absolutely. How in the world can you be a success at college or school or any place else if you don't go to class? You've got to go to class. That's where it happens. That's where the professor sees you. And if there's a difference in your grade between a B and a C or a C and a D, and he's seeing you in class every day, he's going to bump you up to the next grade. Not only that, you're not going to miss anything. Everything that the professor says is not necessarily in the book. So you have to go to class. And Joe said, study hard. After class is over, there is homework. I'm going to go and get that big pot of Guatemala coffee and bring it in here to all of y'all. Homework. It's not just what we learn in class that makes us success at school. It's what we do after class as well, how we study, how we read, how we do our homework. And so then doing all these different things, studying hard, going to class, doing what we're supposed to do, most likely that young man or that young woman that looked so happy this past week leaving class will be a success. Today, we have in chapter 4 of Ephesians the constitution of the church that wants to be successful. It's back to school time, and it's also for Lutherans back to church time. When I was first in the ministry, I used to get real bent out of shape about how the attendance would drop during the summer. I said, did these people think God goes on a 3-month vacation? That He doesn't love them during the summer, doesn't offer up His grace, His blessings, His support, His encouragement, His love? And I used to get real bent out of shape. What do people think this is, a 9-month church? And the answer was yes. That's what we think. And that's the way it's treated. But that's okay. I am not going to fuss about that today because I'm long over that. We go to church like a bull in a china closet from September through May. But from June, July, and August, everybody goes back to Ohio. And there's nothing wrong with that. Because we had a family in this church. Do you know Ralph and Sandra Williams? They went back to Ohio this summer, and they brought me back some corn. I have never in my life had better corn than what you can get from the Midwest. I said Ohio at the first service. You should have seen the people from Illinois. They had a fit. So now I'm saying the Midwest, not just Ohio. Okay? So to be fair. But anyway, you all need a vacation. We have stressful lives, and it's wonderful that you're able to go off to wherever you go off during the summer, see your family and friends, go take a cruise, go see something you've never seen before. That's all well and good. And Jesus did the same thing, because whenever He was meeting a challenge in His ministry or had a challenge in His ministry, He would seek to get away from the crowds, get away from His disciples so He can meditate and pray. So you've done that. But now it is time for us to get back to work. And we could not have had a better lesson than the one we have today to give us good advice about what to do as members of the body of Christ, to build up the church and to have another great year. It says here that, I beg you, Paul says, this is your homework, to lead a life worthy of your calling, because we have all, through holy baptism, been called by God. So we are called to go out into the world and lead a life worthy of our calling. Now, what does that mean? Paul doesn't leave us hanging. He explains that. With the world and with one another, Paul says, be humble and gentle. Be patient with each other, making allowance for each other's faults because of your love. You know why he said that? Make allowance for each other's faults? Because no matter how hard we might try, as a community, we can never completely get over our humanity. We are going to say things. We are going to do things that may offend somebody. So we have to be ready and willing to apologize and ready and willing to forgive. And that's what keeps communities, that's what keeps family and friends together, is that they're willing to forgive and to forget and to move forward in the bigger mission of the church. We are all one body. We have the same Spirit. And we have all been called to the same glorious future. So, how can we, as a congregation, make sure that this year is another great year of ministry? Well, it says right here, and this is what I was underlining up there because at my age, if you don't underline stuff, it took me 15 minutes to find this line at the early church. And someone told me after that service, Pastor, get a yellow marker, a highlighter. And I said, you mind your business. And no, he didn't say that. I didn't say that. He was right. See, why we got to forgive and all that kind of stuff? Because no telling when I'm going to say something that's going to hurt somebody's feelings. Okay, listen to this. This is my favorite line in the whole chapter. However, Jesus has given each one of us a special gift according to the generosity of Christ. Your homework and my homework is to find out what that special gift might be that God has given to each one of us, that we might pull together, work together as a congregation, and have a great year of ministry. So we each have a special gift. You have to figure out what that gift is and give that gift, use that gift to build up the church. But no matter how many projects we have, no matter how much perusing we do of our soul about our spiritual gifts, there's one thing that must be prevalent in any church, in any organization, so that it can be a resounding success. And what is that? I mean it. I'm going over there and get that barrel of coffee and bring it in here. What brings us together and holds us together? What holds you together with your spouse? Love, absolutely. If I ask y'all a question in church, there's usually two answers that's going to always be right. Jesus and love. If you say one of those two, you're at least going to get a 50%. Paul says at the very end, under Jesus' direction, the whole body is fitted together perfectly, just like the screen says up there. As each part of Holy Trinity does its own special work, it helps the other parts grow so that the whole body is healthy and growing and full of love. Now, let me ask you, do you think Holy Trinity, the members, love each other here? If you can't come into this church and feel and see the love that you all have for each other, then you must be totally blind. I have been here 20 years, and every year it's the same old thing. I keep waiting for it to have been fake. I keep waiting for it to drift away. But your love for one another is not pretentious. It is genuine. And that is one reason that we have had so many years after I came, before I came, of successful ministry here at Holy Trinity, is because you have the foundation of a successful church, and that is love. What I enjoy most after any service is to go into the fellowship hall, stand in the corner, and listen to the noise. You all are smiling. You all are talking to each other. You all are asking one another how things are going. You love one another. And you also know that it is love that is going to continue to be the foundation for any successful church and ministry. So, we have the love. We have the gifts. You have the energy. Now it's time for us to leave class after this class is over, to go out into the world between September and May and do the best ministry possible. Amen.